Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Rafale issue came to Parliament today. The best thing about what happened is that at least we got our Parliament functioning in full glory. All kinds of tamasha was there. There was a lot of fire and brimstone. Rahul Gandhi started it. His initial punches were more probing in nature. He said, where is Mr. Modi? Mr. Modi wasn't there. He said, why is Nirmala Sitharaman, the defense minister, hiding behind AIDMK members? He also said that AIADMK members were making noise, indicating that they were the B team of the BJP. So once these initial punches had been landed and an adjournment followed, then a quick charge sheet came in from him. Now, he is very careful in the way that he is laying out his charges against the government. And let me try and declutter that very simply. He is not saying at any point that somebody has taken money because there is as yet no money trail. He is saying, number one, that if the Air Force had wanted 126 aircraft and UPA government had finalized a deal for 126, why did you reduce it to 36? Who asked you to do so? Number two, he is saying, why did you decide not to manufacture aircraft, Rafale aircraft in India? So if the order had been 126, then 108 would have been manufactured in India and probably by HAL, as he says. Although we've talked about this before, that there were problems about HAL's capabilities. But in any case, that manufacture would happen in India. Number three, he says, well, were all the procedures followed? And it does look like, in this case, that lots of procedures were short-circuited or maybe curtailed. But this is not the first time that defense purchase procedures have been curtailed. At some point of time, I had written and spoken in detail about the Sukhoi 30 deal in the manner that it was done. Now, these questions are not that easy to answer in the sense that how does the government now admit that they short-circuited many procedures? And in any such procedures, purchases, there will be bureaucratic objections because bureaucrats, Mr. Jaitley in his reply quoted Yes Minister. So Yes Minister is a good example of how bureaucrats try to stall things. Or in the defense ministry, it's often said that bureaucrats put files into orbit. So they keep floating in orbit, they don't land anywhere. So governments try to overrule, governments do occasionally, or in fact more than occasionally, overrule bureaucrats and short-circuit procedures. It's very difficult for the BJP government now to admit that in Parliament, and that is where Rahul Gandhi has got them on the defensive. Once again, he's not yet saying somebody has made money. His next question is offsets. He's saying that if you had ordered 126, 108 would have been made by HAL, which is a public sector company. In any case, those jobs would have come to India. But now you're buying 36 in a flyaway condition, and you're giving the benefit of offsets to Anil Ambani, or one who referred to as AA, because the speaker said that in Parliament you can't name people who are not present. Now, first of all, for me, it was a new experience because I don't remember, at least for quite some time, that a prominent businessman was declared as a failed businessman in National Parliament. So that's a new, even if he was referred to in the records as AA. But that's an interesting development. The other thing is, he talked about the pricing. He said if the pricing was 500 something crore when they negotiated it, how did it become 1600 something crore unless there was something wrong with it? So there was a spirited reply to this from Arun Jaitley, who said, one, that the price you negotiated was a price at a certain time, price escalates over time, that different weapon systems have been bought, so price gets increased, and if you see the calculations, then our price is actually 9% lower than your price. Also, he took refuge behind the Supreme Court judgment, saying the Supreme Court has said that they have seen the pricing details in the sealed envelope that was given to them, and that has satisfied their conscience. Now, we have talked about again the perils of the Supreme Court following the doctrine of sealed envelopes. Because in a case where there are two sides, if one side brings you evidence in its support in a sealed envelope, and the other side, in this case the plaintiff, doesn't see it, then it doesn't answer the demands of natural justice. Because how can the court make up its mind seeing something that the other side hasn't seen? But that's the way the court has decided to do this. So there was some bit of wit and some bit of nonsense. Wit, Arun Jaitley talked about Ian Fleming's James Bond because he said that Congress party and Gandhi family has been caught. He said in 3 scandals, Bofors, Augusta Westland helicopters, and also National Herald. And he said, as James Bond said, once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, and third time is enemy action. Actually got it a little bit wrong, because James Bond had not said this in Goldfinger. These words were spoken to James Bond by Mr. Auric Goldfinger, the bad guy, who said that in Chicago we have a saying that once is happenstance, etc., etc., etc. So this was some bit of funny wit. We saw a little bit of wit later also when Shogata Roy of Mamata Banerjee's party, TMC, tried to teach Arun Jaitley Ian Fleming, the full quote that he quoted, and also French pronunciation. So for me, it was a highlight of today's parliament proceedings when a Bengali tried to teach a Punjabi French pronunciation. Because he said, you keep on saying Holland, Holland, Holland. He's not Holland. Holland is the name of the country. In France, his name is pronounced as Hollande. So you saw all these various colors in parliament. But where did it leave us? What do we get at the bottom line? What we get at the bottom line is that after this setback of Supreme Court order, Rahul Gandhi has now succeeded in once again reviving Rafale as a controversy. The government has served its cause poorly, one, by the Prime Minister not being present in Parliament. He had no business to be not present in Parliament. This was an important debate. He should have been there, even if he didn't speak. And second, by the government fielding Arun Jaitley to defend itself as its primary defender. Now, it's possible that the Defence Minister will speak tomorrow. We don't know. But the fact is that this deal is to do with the Defence Ministry. You have a Defence Minister who's so articulate that she was your spokesperson for a long time. Why do you hide her? Why does Arun Jaitley have to respond to Rahul Gandhi now? This is something that the opposition is now using, and this will not work well for the BJP. You are the leading party. You are the dominant party in Parliament. You have a Defence Minister who's now been in the job for some time. She is very articulate. She's a very confident person. Why are you hiding her? So this is a strange situation where the Defence Minister, in whose time this deal was signed, he's away and silent in Goa. Although he did issue a tweet today saying that the tape in which his name was quoted by one of his ministers in Goa is fictitious. But having said that, he's not speaking on this. His successor is not speaking on this. Who is the current Defence Minister? The minister who has held the defence charge in the interim twice, in fact for long interregnums, Arun Jaitley, he's the one who's risen to defend this. Now, he's a good lawyer, he argues very well, he makes very good points, but really the government has served itself very poorly by seeming to hide the Raksha Mantri. Because that gives you the indication, one, that either you have something to hide, and if not that, you are not sure of the ability of your Defence Minister to be able to defend your own deal. Now, if that is the case, how can that person be the Defence Minister of India? Defence Minister of India is a serious job. You're a member of the Cabinet Committee of Security. So these are things that came out. I'd said to you earlier that some nonsense also happened. So I think this whole idea of Congress MPs throwing airplanes made of paper at Arun Jaitley was a stupid idea. So that was the stupidity we saw today, and we saw Sonia Gandhi restraining her party MPs from doing this. I do hope that this will not happen again, because this is not really a classroom with the teachers looking away. You are doing this when the whole country is watching on camera. I think this was the most watched thing today. It's a great thing that this discussion took place in Parliament, because it's in Parliament that our democracy really functions. The tragedy of our country is our Parliament meets too little, and even when it meets, it does too little business, because people fight, they shout, scream, and there are adjournments. So looking forward to some more action and fun in Parliament, because this debate will continue, and hoping that there will be no more of what I described as stupidity, because Parliament is a forum of debate. You can fight, you can even abuse each other, you can call each other and each other's parents names. In Rahul Gandhi's case, his 4 earlier generations are invoked also, but you don't throw stuff at each other.